Ever since I can remember, I've been obsessed with the idea of flying. As a child, I would look up to the sky and I would imagine what it must feel like to take off, to float through the air, to move freely in three-dimensional space. No roads, no boundaries, absolute freedom. But of course, we humans, we aren't exactly built for flying. I mean, look at us. We have legs, not wings. So for thousands of years, we have lived, we have moved, and we have died down here on Earth. And then something remarkable happened. We invented the wing, and then the propeller, and then the jet engine, and suddenly we took off and left Earth. We unshackled ourselves from the limitations of our own biology and achieved something that our ancestors could only dream about: flying. Still gives me goosebumps every time I think about this, because to me, humans building and flying airplanes is tangible proof of what happens when we dare to imagine a better future and then actually build it. And this is also exactly what brought me here to TEDxTUWien, to learn how to turn visions into reality and to study aerospace engineering. As a matter of fact, something that I find extremely exciting is that now, for the first time in history, the human story is actually expanding beyond Earth itself. As a matter of fact, many of the systems that keep our world running, our economies, our communications, our weather forecasts, even our national security, these systems no longer sit down here on Earth with us. Instead, they're orbiting silently, hundreds of kilometers above our heads. Satellites have become the invisible scaffolding of our civilization. They watch our planet, they connect remote communities, they guide aircraft through our crowded skies and ships through narrow straits. Satellites are the backbone of the modern world we've built. However, there's still one big difference between Earth and space. Down here on Earth, everything moves. We ship goods across oceans, we order food online, and it magically appears at our doorstep. We fly across continents within hours. Movement is easy, movement is cheap, and most importantly, movement is normal. A click of a button and things change direction. Up in space, changing direction is almost impossible. Once an object has been released to space by rocket, its speed and its heading are essentially locked in. It just continuously circles Earth, always on the same path. And changing that path is extremely difficult and extremely expensive. So most satellites can't do it. Imagine an object the size of a household fridge being released to space and then racing around Earth faster than a bullet, endlessly and uncontrollably. It can't steer, it can't turn, it can't even swerve to avoid a collision. A huge, catastrophic danger to itself and to everyone else who encounters it. Now imagine thousands of these fridges being released to space every year. And this is where the real threat emerges, because when these satellites collide, and they do, they don't just lightly bump into each other. They smash into each other violently, shattering into thousands of razor-sharp metal fragments, each one then racing around Earth at the same deadly speed. And the debris doesn't disappear, collides again and again. One collision becomes 10, 10 become 100. And already today, there are more than 100 million individual objects racing around our planet, each one with enough kinetic energy to destroy a satellite or end the lives of our human astronauts. But what if all of this changed? Imagine a future where satellites move in space freely, just as we do here on Earth. Imagine a future where satellites glide smoothly into perfect position and where they can react responsively to what happens down here on Earth. Imagine a future where satellites can swerve to avoid collisions long before they ever happen, and where aging satellites are collected, repaired, and given a second life. Imagine a future where we don't just reach space, but live and move within it, just as we do here on Earth. This future, it doesn't have to stay imaginary. It just has to be built. 4 years ago, my team and I decided to walk towards this future. We had a very focused belief that we can take what we as humans have learned down here on Earth and apply it to space. And our goal was actually very simple: making moving in space as easy and as common as flying a drone. However, I have to admit, the beginnings were not glorious. So we needed funding, and we pitched to anyone who would listen. We needed a place to build, and we found an old garage where we could assemble our first rocket engines. There was no insulation, there was no heating. The air smelled of metal and oil, and we went days without sleep, just going on pizza, Red Bull, and lots of adrenaline. At the beginning, we actually built rocket engines that didn't even ignite. But each failed ignition taught us something. And then something remarkable happened again. Austria's only astronaut, Franz Fieberg, he not only listened to us, he believed in us. And he became our very first backer. And slowly, people started paying attention. The European Space Agency took notice, awarding us 3 contracts. Investors took notice, backing our vision with real capital, and suddenly, and this transition actually happened remarkably fast, we were no longer a garage project, but a real company with real patents, real clean rooms, and real customers. Today, we are already a team of 22. However, this story is far from over, because although we've tested our products to their breaking point down here on Earth, the hardest part actually still remains: space. Next year, our first product will be headed to space on board of a rocket by SpaceX. And when that day comes, and when our engine ignites in space for the first time, it won't just be a test of engineering. It will be proof of something much bigger. Because I have to admit, this story today was actually never just about rocket engines to begin with. Let's summarize. I shared a vision with you of freedom and flying. We saw that for satellites, moving in space is still extremely difficult. And we walked through the chaos that this creates. I also showed you how we are building a different future, where moving in space is as easy and as common as it is on Earth. And the truth is, I think this story is tangible proof that imagination isn't just fantasy. Imagination is the first stage of engineering, of building something new. And engineering isn't just nuts and bolts and math, it's how an idea becomes reality. This is what it means to be human, to imagine a world that doesn't exist yet and then actually build it. I think the best way to predict the future is to invent it. Thank you very much.